In this video, I'm going to share with you how to develop self-leadership. And this is specifically if you're a coach, a speaker, or other type of influencer that is leading through your mission and your message. If you can't lead yourself, then you can't lead others. That's it, basically, in a nutshell. And that's the importance of self-leadership in this video. You have to do the inner work first to become someone who can rely on yourself, can depend on yourself, before you can share your leadership with others. So in this video, I'm going to talk about why self-leadership is important. Then I'm going to get into what it actually means, what it is. I'm going to answer the question, can self-leadership be learned, which I get all of the time. Then we're going to dive into how to improve your own self-leadership. I've got 3 specific things that you can cultivate in order to be able to lead yourself more effectively so you can lead others. Let's go. The reason that self-leadership is so important is that it cultivates confidence and it cultivates trustability, so that when you know that you are reliable, trustable, that you are going to do what you say you're going to do, that you know how to achieve results and focus and create outcomes, then other people can trust you more too, and other people can rely on you, and other people naturally will look to you for guidance and leadership. The worst kind of leadership is one that is fully and only based on power plays or dictates or titles and entitlement. Those types of leadership, number 1, they don't last very long. And number 2, they often get a lot of internal resistance from people and they break down from the inside. So the best thing that you can do in order to become a better leader is to become a better leader first of yourself. Now, people ask, is self-leadership something that can be learned? And I say absolutely. And in fact, it's the only way. Now, the thing is that some of us learn it earlier on in life. Some of us have childhood experiences that cultivate self-leadership, and others of us have childhood experiences that don't cultivate self-leadership very much. And so no matter where you are, though, you can still up-level. It's just that for some of us, if we didn't have that kind of foundational childhood, it might be a little bit more work, but it's absolutely worth it. And the key to doing the work is to remember why you're doing it. And for me, without diving too deep into all of the things that I teach about and I talk about and I have a million videos about, I'll just say this. When you have a clear vision and a clear desire to create something in the world, if you can hold on to that vision and that desire, that will help you as you go into doing this inner work, this deeper work to cultivate your own leadership. Because let me tell you, it's not all rainbows and unicorns. And I'll get into that in a minute as well. So before I get into the 3 core things to work on to cultivate self-leadership, I want to invite you to view some of my other videos on leadership. I have an entire playlist about leadership, and there are all sorts of different kinds of leadership that you can tap into. And I don't actually think that one is necessarily any better than another. I think that bringing all of these different disciplines together can be really effective towards helping you up-level your own leadership. So the first thing that supports your self-leadership is self-awareness. Self-awareness is about being truthful and honest with yourself. It's about what one of my mentors calls not standing with yourself in a lie. Self-awareness is about when you recognize that something's not going well or that something's not working for you in your own personal life, instead of ignoring it, avoiding it, or distracting from it, it's about addressing it head on. It's about acknowledging what's there. So I'll give you an example. I was in a relationship for a few years that I had a lot of red flags. There were things in the relationship that I knew were not good for me or for him or for anybody. And yet I put the blinders on and I stuck with it because I wanted to have a relationship. And so I wasn't leading myself. I wasn't practicing self-awareness, and I wasn't practicing truth-telling with myself. Of course, as these things are wont to do, 2.5 years into the relationship, it all fell apart in the most spectacular, dramatic, and upsetting fashion. And I could have saved us both. I could have saved all of us, all of that heartache and pain by just calling it sooner, by being honest with myself, by having self-awareness about how I was feeling, and what was really going on. From that place of self-awareness, I could have led myself out of the relationship and saved everyone a lot of problems. So self-awareness is about recognizing what's truly there, what's really going on. How am I showing up? Am I showing up in fear? Am I showing up weak? Am I showing up as a victim, or am I showing up courageous and empowered and strong? So it's also recognizing how you're being in a certain situation, in a certain relationship, and acknowledging that you could be better. Acknowledging that a better version of you would actually show up in a different way. So self-awareness, the ability to be truthful with yourself, is at the foundation, in my belief, of self-leadership. And before I move on, I want to add a couple things about self-awareness. There are a few layers of self-awareness, okay? At one layer, now I'm going to get a little bit woo-woo. For those of you who know me, you know me well. There's the layer of energetic self-awareness, okay? And for those of you that this is new for, just listen and see if this feels true. We can run different energies through our system, okay? We can run, for example, an energy of fear. The energy of fear has certain physiological, emotional, and mental components. When we're operating from fear, we generally, physically even, we are smaller, we are hunched over, we are collapsed, right? When we're operating from fear, we might feel the emotion of rejection or fear, like we don't want to do something, we want to stay away from something, we want to protect ourselves, right? And then mentally, when we're operating from fear, we might find limitations and be negative and pessimistic, right? And so it's really important for self-awareness to understand, what energy am I running here? And there are a lot of different energies. You can run the energy of fear, and you can also run the energy of love, right? And that feels completely different in the body. The energy of love is expansive and open. It's chest open, heart open. It's uplifted, right? It's hard to feel fear and scared when you're like this, right? So there's a physiology too to become aware of, right? Sometimes we can know how we're feeling, and then we can check in, oh, my physiology is doing this. Or sometimes we can notice, oh, my physiology is tightening up. Am I feeling fear right now? So we can use self-awareness of our energetic state, or some of us are more attuned to our physical state. Some are more attuned to our emotional state. That for you, it's like, I want to check into my heart. How do I feel about this? Oh, I'm feeling fearful. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling ashamed. I'm feeling guilty. I'm feeling angry, resentful, right? These are emotions that we can feel. And then we can also check in, all right, what's the energy that's associated with that? How's that showing up in my body? So some of this is really subtle work, and some of this is more obvious. And I would invite and encourage you to consider practicing slowing down and checking in and identifying self-awareness. What's going on here? And even better, what's really going on here? All right. The second piece of developing self-leadership is self-care. Self-care is being kind to yourself, being loving to yourself, nurturing yourself, and doing the things that your self needs to be able to perform and show up in the world. So what self-care, there are a million things, pieces or aspects of self-care, but I'll highlight some of the most obvious and the most common, and the ones that generally get in the way the most. One of the biggest is our food and what we ingest and put into our bodies. Are we putting in food that's nourishing? Are we taking care to put food in our bodies that actually heals us, that helps us rather than makes us sicker? And they're, out in the world, if you go to a normal supermarket these days, you're going to find that, I'm going to guess, like 80% of the foods are not healing foods. They're not good for us. They're full of sugar, or they're full of trans fats and food coloring and artificial things and preservatives, right? So really, self-care, a big part of it is paying attention and treating our body like a temple, like a place of a sacred space. And what am I going to put into my body? Self-care is also things like sleep, water, air, relationships, right? Are we in relationships that are draining us, or are we in relationships that are uplifting us? Are we putting up with things in our relationships? That's not very good for us. That's not taking really good care of ourselves. And a lot of times there are certain relationships that we can choose, and certain relationships that we can choose a little less. Like, for example, we can't choose our family or our parents, but we can create boundaries. We can create standards. We can lead those relationships. And so when we do that and create boundaries and standards, it's a way of self-care. It's a way of taking care of ourselves so that we can show up better and bigger. The third component, and there are probably many more components, but these are the three that I identified are the most important to start with and that I've seen have made the biggest impact for me and for my clients. The third is the idea of self-confidence, building your self-confidence. And what I see as the foundation of self-confidence is self-trust. Being able to know that you can rely on yourself. That means keeping promises with yourself. That means doing what you say you're going to do. I would say one of my biggest challenges in my life, and especially in leadership, has been keeping my promises to me. I'd always found it much easier to keep promises I'd made to other people. And that's because I struggled with my own self-confidence. I struggled with my own self-worth, right? I put other people's needs above my own needs. And so what would end up happening is I would say, yes, I'll do that. But then when I would make a promise to myself, I wouldn't keep it, I would skip it. And I still work on that when it comes to things like exercise and sleep and things like that. And so self-trust or self-confidence with self-trust as the foundation is something that you build up, in my opinion, by learning first to say no to the things that don't matter to you and say yes to the things that matter most to you. So for example, instead of committing to do a project or a fundraiser or a thing because it helps someone else, first say, well, am I doing the things that I need to do for myself first? Am I taking care of myself first? And once that's in place, then being able to go out and say yes. There's a quote by the amazing Rumi, and he said, never give from the depths of your well, but from its overflow. And I believe that that's what develops self-confidence, when we know that we are filling ourselves up first, taking care of ourselves, and then from that place, keeping those promises. Once we do that, we're much more trustable, reliable, and better leaders to others. If you're in the business of leading others, if you're a coach, a speaker, an author, other kind of influencer or expert, and you're looking to up-level your own business by up-leveling your own leadership, let's have a conversation. You can book a free discovery call with me at superstaractivator.com/go, or just click on the link below. I look forward to chatting with you.